I want the real statement sent, every single transaction, I said, gripping my office phone hard enough to leave marks on my palm. From the 42nd floor of the Salesforce Tower, I could see the fog swallowing the Bay Bridge, the water below shifting like silver glass. It should have been a calming view. It wasn't. Not after reading the message from my father 3 times over. Market crashed. You're on your own now. If you love real emotional stories, hit subscribe, we post one every week. The words pulsed in my mind like a heartbeat. My father's tone, final, dismissive, would have stung more if it weren't for the absurd irony of it. For the past 5 years, I'd been the one secretly keeping the Bennett family afloat. The trust fund he bragged about rebuilding. I'd funded nearly all of it. Every smart investment he'd claimed credit for was my money, moved through quiet channels and shell accounts I controlled. Claire. David Liu's calm voice broke through the silence. Are you sure you want those records released? The ones showing your contributions? Exactly those, I said. Send them to my father today. Include every detail, every dollar. A small pause. That'll expose everything, Claire. No going back. I stared again at the text glowing on my screen. I'm done hiding. When the call ended, I sat motionless in my leather chair. My office, glass, steel, and sunlight, felt like a different planet from the world my family believed I lived in. They thought I was a freelance coder who couldn't keep a steady job. In truth, I was the founder and CEO of Vertex Dynamics, a cloud and analytics firm valued at over $8 billion. 5 years earlier, when Dad's restaurants had collapsed and Mom's medical bills piled up, I'd watched everything we owned disintegrate. So I'd built something new, quietly. I'd funneled my profits into the family trust through layers of intermediaries, keeping their pride intact. They thought Dad had recovered their fortune through brilliant trades. I let them believe it. I even listened as he lectured me about financial discipline. Now the illusion was crumbling. My phone buzzed. Ethan's name flashed across the screen. Claire, he said, his voice tight, did you see Dad's message? About the trust? I did. I'm freaking out. That fund's been paying for my MBA, and I've got 6 months left. If it's gone, I'm screwed. Dad swore he was investing safely. Relax, Ethan. You'll finish your program. I promise. He hesitated. How can you be so calm? You've always had that safety net too. A bitter smile touched my lips. If only he knew. My safety net was nearly $2 billion deep. The trust he worried about was less than pocket change to me. Things have a way of working out, I said carefully. Just focus on school. But Claire, Dad's been so proud of rebuilding that fund. If people find out he lost it again, it'll destroy him. Ethan, I asked, what do you actually know about how that fund was rebuilt? A pause. Dad said he invested in tech and real estate. He never showed details, just results. Why? No reason, I lied. Just thinking. When the call ended, I turned to my screen. My financial dashboard glowed with the quiet, relentless truth. Vertex Dynamics, $8.2 billion valuation. Real estate holdings, $47 million. Personal investments, $230 million. I'd built it all from scratch, alone. Yet in their eyes, I was still the daughter who played with computers and drove a beat-up Civic. The truth would hit them within hours, in the form of a single email from Wells Fargo Private Wealth Management. For years, I'd protected their pride. But this time, my father was right about one thing. From here on out, I really was on my own. In truth, the tiny apartment my family always pitted me for was a 3,000 square foot penthouse in Soma that I'd purchased for $4.2 million. But I never corrected them. Letting them believe I lived modestly made life simpler. The lies had started small and evolved into something almost architectural in complexity. When Vertex Dynamics landed its first major client, Netflix, for a $12 million cloud project, I couldn't share it. A freelance programmer suddenly closing multi-million-dollar deals would have sparked too many questions. When our series of funding hit $50 million, I wanted to celebrate with them, but I knew how quickly pride could turn to interference. So, I stayed silent. And by the time Vertex became a unicorn, worth over $1 billion, the truth felt too large to ever explain. Instead, I used my success to quietly rebuild what my parents had lost. When Dad's restaurant was collapsing, I had several corporate clients book exclusive events there, paying premium rates that kept him solvent until he could sell at a profit. When Mom's cancer treatments became overwhelming, I paid for them through a foundation I'd set up under another name. When Ethan needed tuition, I rebuilt the family trust, structuring the payments so they appeared to come from Dad's investment success. It all worked, until today. Market volatility made Dad panic over money that was never actually his to lose. Megan knocked lightly before stepping into my office. "Claire, your father called the main line." He sounded pretty upset. "Should I put him through?" "Not yet," I said. "He's about to receive something from the bank. Let's wait." She nodded, though I could see the curiosity flicker across her face. Few people at Vertex knew anything about my personal life. I kept a wall between who I was at home and who I was in the boardroom. At 4:32 p.m., my phone lit up with Dad's name. I answered. "Claire," Robert Bennett's voice trembled, "I just got some very strange paperwork from Wells Fargo. Can you explain why these statements show your name as the main contributor to our family trust?" "Because I've been the main contributor for the last 5 years," I said quietly. "That's impossible," he snapped. "You're a freelancer. You work from home. How could you possibly?" "Dad," I interrupted gently, "I need to tell you something that's going to sound unbelievable. I'm not a freelancer. Haven't been for years." A long pause. "Then what are you?" "I'm the CEO and founder of Vertex Dynamics. We manage cloud systems and analytics for major corporations. The company's valued at over $8 billion. Silence stretched thin on the line. Then, softly, $8 billion. He laughed once, uncertain. "Claire, if this is some joke to make me feel better." "It's not a joke. You didn't lose the trust fund, Dad. There was no market crash. You just got a volatility alert and panicked. The money's still there, plus the extra $400,000 I added last month." I heard papers rustling. "These documents mention something called Vertex Holdings LLC. Are you telling me you own this?" "Yes. That's one of my investment entities. I use them to keep my support private." "Private from who?" "From this exact conversation," I said softly. "For years, you've taken credit for my contributions. You gave financial advice to relatives, believing you'd made brilliant investments. I didn't want to embarrass you." A fragile quiet followed. Then Dad said, "If you're really who you say you are, why live like this? Why drive that old car? Why act broke? The car's reliable. The apartment isn't small, it's a penthouse. And I travel plenty, for work." "$4 million, he murmured, as if the number itself was sacred. "How did this even happen?" "It started 5 years ago when I built Vertex from my home office. Netflix was our first client. Then Google. Then Amazon. We grew fast, venture funding, expansions, the works." I heard Mom's voice in the background. "Robert, what's going on?" "Put me on speaker," I said. "Claire," Mom said, breathless, "your father's saying impossible things." You own some billion-dollar company. It's not impossible, Mom. It's true. I started Vertex 5 years ago. We now employ about 1,200 people across 4 cities and manage data infrastructure for most of the Fortune 100. This is crazy, Ethan's voice cut in. He must have just walked in. You're telling us you've been running an $8 billion company and never said a word? $8.2 billion, I corrected, the number landing heavier than I expected. And yes, I kept it secret to protect both my business and this family. Why would you hide that from us? Mom asked, her tone breaking between disbelief and hurt. Because every time I've shared good news, it's been brushed aside. When I graduated top of my class at Stanford, Dad called it nice but not practical. When I got my first consulting deal, you said it sounded unstable. Eventually, it was easier to say nothing. Claire, Ethan said softly, we would have been proud. Would you? I asked. Or would you have tried to control it? To manage it like you do everything else? No one spoke. Finally, Dad exhaled. You paid for everything, didn't you? The trust. Ethan's tuition. Your mom's treatments. Yes, I said. About $18.7 million over the last 5 years. 18 million, Mom whispered. You let us believe I was the genius investor, Dad said quietly. You protected my pride. I protected the family, I corrected. That's all I ever wanted. Claire, Dad's voice trembled, thick with emotion, I feel like a fraud. I've been taking credit for your generosity for years. You're not a fraud, Dad, I said. You made the best choices you could with the information you had. I just made sure those choices worked out even better. My office phone buzzed. Megan, at reception, was calling. Claire, I'm sorry to interrupt, but there are reporters from TechCrunch and the Wall Street Journal asking about Vertex Dynamics' IPO timeline. They want interviews. I muted my personal line. Tell them I'll release a statement tomorrow. No interviews today. Unmuting the call with my family, I heard Mom speak. I don't understand why reporters are calling about your company. Because we're preparing to go public, I said. Vertex will likely IPO in the next 6 months. Media speculation is intense. Ethan's MBA instincts kicked in. Claire, if the company's worth $8 billion and you're the founder. $8.2 billion, I corrected. On paper, my stake would be about $1.8 billion after the IPO. Dad whispered, $1.8 billion, you're going to be a billionaire. Technically, yes, I said. Most of it will stay tied up in company stock, but still, billionaire. Linda, Mom, added softly, are Claire, one of the wealthiest women in tech. The realization hit them in waves. They were quiet, processing it. Finally, Mom asked, with all this success, are you happy? Fulfilled? Building Vertex has been the hardest and most rewarding experience of my life, I admitted. I love solving technical challenges, leading an amazing team, and creating technology that makes the internet more reliable. But keeping it secret from you, it's been lonely. Why reveal it now? Dad asked. I smiled at the irony of his earlier text, you're on your own now. Because you gave me the perfect opening. Ethan laughed despite the tension. You literally told Claire she was on her own financially, 10 minutes before discovering she's been supporting the family for years. I feel like an idiot. You're not an idiot, I said. You're a father protecting your children. You just didn't realize one of them had already solved the problem. Megan knocked again. Claire, your 5 p.m. board meeting is ready. Should I reschedule? Give me 5 more minutes. Then start without me, I said. Mom, Dad, Ethan, I added, this changes nothing about how I feel. I'm still your daughter and sister. I still want holidays together, to hear about your lives. The only difference is you now know what I actually do. Dad's tone softened. What do you need from us going forward? Just be my family. Don't treat me differently because of money or the company. And never feel guilty accepting help. Caring for people I love is part of being successful. Ethan asked, can we tell anyone? After the IPO, yes. Until then, let's keep it within the family. Media attention will be enough without adding family drama. I sat for a moment, looking at the bay from my office, processing the day. 5 years of secrecy had collapsed in an afternoon. Instead of feeling exposed, I felt free. I could share my success, celebrate without hiding, and be myself with those I loved. My phone buzzed. Ethan texted, Claire, I'm still processing, but I'm incredibly proud. What you've built and done for our family is extraordinary. I love you. Similar messages arrived from Mom and Dad, each filled with pride, gratitude, and apologies. The board meeting lasted until 7 p.m., covering acquisition strategy and IPO planning. Later, I returned to my penthouse, $4.2 million, now known, and opened a bottle of wine to celebrate the end of 5 years of secrecy. 3 months later, I stood on the NASDAQ trading floor with my senior team and family. Vertex's stock opened at $47 per share, valuing my stake over $2.1 billion, making me the youngest Latina billionaire. Dad wore the suit I'd bought him, tears streaming. Mom held my hand. Ethan snapped photos, capturing every moment of transformation from secret CEO to public billionaire. The real victory came after the market closed. At a restaurant I'd purchased for the occasion, we raised our glasses. Dad looked at me with complete understanding and respect. To Claire, he said, who showed us that sometimes the people we love most can achieve things beyond our imagination, and that taking care of family is the most important investment of all. For the first time in 5 years, I shared my success fully with the people who mattered most. That was worth more than any valuation or balance sheet. The trust fund had never truly vanished, it had just been waiting for the right moment to reveal who had been supporting the family all along.